All right, episode 4 is finally here. We are actually going to write the API portion of the Android app. So this will actually take the API we've already built in JavaScript and Express, and it will actually submit data, save that to the database, and then pull that data back when you log in. So really excited. So let's just jump right into Android Studio and get moving. Jumping back into Android Studio, right where we left off, we are going to start setting up our API. So there's a couple things that need to happen for that to happen. I have to configure a few things. So for starters, we need to grab Retrofit. And so we'll grab this guy, jump back over here to our build.gradle file, come down here, and we'll say, boom. The latest version I believe is 2.9.0. And then let's move that up actually, right here. And then we also need to grab JSON converter, which is right here. And I'll put both of these links in the description so you don't have to remember them. And we'll put that guy right here. Again, I believe they're on the same, so I believe it's 2.9.0 as well. So we'll go ahead and sync real quick, let that build out so we have what we need there. And then we'll jump into the API, shall we? So this is a pretty simple, straightforward setup here. So we're going to do at form URL encoded. That's just saying, hey, we're going to be sending our variables or our data as form URL encoded. So these need to match. So we're going to do create user, call, response body. I'm going to call it create user. So this create user needs to match what your endpoints ended up being in your app, which let's see if we can open that up real quickly. So we'll quit that Sublime. Let's open that guy up real fast so we can kind of compare. So if you go into your router and here, so you're pointing at this, create user. So let's go ahead and hide that now. Hide this for now. We'll be pulling that up here in a few. So then you also want to set up your data. So we'll do at field is first name. So this needs to match, again, what you set up your user schema to look like. String first name. And then we'll do at field last name. String last name at field email. String email at field. It will be password string password. Perfect. What's going on here? Port that class. Port that class. All right. Okay. At form URL encoded again. So that's our create user route. So we're going to do our user login as well. So we'll do call login response. This will be a little different than the one before because this one we would actually action on. Well, we'll action on both, but they're just a little bit more of a complicated call. At field email. So you're not just sending a post to say, hey, I've created this. It's what is this user? You're usually not going to get an error, like an actual, server error unless something's down with a login, whereas you would with a create because there's more of a chance of like data not matching or not being formatted correctly or not meeting the validation stuff. Password, that should take care of that. So that's all that. So this is basically just setting up the parameters for your API. So how do you call that? So you need a retrofit client. So you'll just set up a singleton. You only want one to manage all of the requests, right? So anytime anything's going out, coming in, you want one to manage it. Because if you do it at every method, you'll end up blowing up your memory. You'll have all kinds of crazy memory issues, and your app will be crashing all over the place. Trust me, I know it's happened to me. Private, static, status, final, string, base URL. So this is also where you set your base URL. It's equal to HTTP. So this is where it gets a little weird. So you noticed on Postman in the first video, we did localhost. So localhost is a thing. Localhost is important. But if you do localhost here, or the 127.0.0.1 or whatever it is, that it will actually point to the phones or the emulator's localhost. So that won't get you where you want to go, and you won't be connecting to the database you're trying to connect to and the server you're trying to connect to and all that stuff. So instead, that Android has, or Google or whoever has come up with a great idea of setting up its own IP address that points to the localhost on your local machine. So that's the IP address everybody should use unless somebody has intentionally changed it. Retrofit client, instance, private, retrofit, and all of this is available on the links that I will put in the description. You can see it all and understand what it's all doing here. Why is this? I don't understand why it's doing that. So we're going to do private retrofit client. We're going to do retrofit equals new retrofit dot builder. And I get base URL is equal to base URL. We'll do add converter factory. So this will be JSON. Oh, what in the world is happening there? There we go. I don't know why that did that, but normally it's like my autocomplete freaked out for a minute there. Oops. All right. And then static synchronized retrofit client get instance. So this is, you're privately setting up your retrofit client instance. This is actually making it available to the rest of your app. So instance is equal to null. So we're saying basically, if you try and call this and this didn't happen for whatever reason, or it happened and something went wrong, it's going to say, hey, okay, cool, not a big deal. We'll set up a new one. So it'll just basically call that private thing again. Otherwise, return instance. So if there is something there that's not null, it'll just call this. If it says, oh crap, this is null, then it'll just create a new retrofit client. So you always only have one. All right, so then we'll make that API get API. API. And we'll say return retrofit create API.class, and boom. And that should be it. So now we have our API set up, our retrofit client set up. Now we just need to set up our actual user models, which is pretty quick generally. So we'll start with the login response. All right. So for the login response, we're going to do private Boolean error. And we're going to do private string message. And then private user. So this is going to point to the user model we're about to create here in a minute. So now you can do generate code. This just saves us some time. Constructor. Do all three of them. Boom, you've got your constructor. And then we'll do our getters. So we'll say generate getters. Again, all of them. Okay. And I'm right clicking on the page to get that. So boom, that's done. I mean, setting up models is ridiculously fast. So let's go ahead and set up the user model now. And we're going to say private int ID. And we're going to do private string first name, last name, email address, password. Yeah. Is that right? That feels off, but I think that's right. Okay. So again, do the constructors. Generate constructor, all of them good. And then getters again. Generate getters. Boom. Done. All right, so that was the easy part. So now our API is set up. We have models associated to these calls. So now it's all about finishing off the work. So let's jump over to our register, because register is the next big step. And we got to do a couple things. So we have already tied our actual edit text fields to a variable. So now we can use those variables to get the data out of those text fields. So we'll say string first name is equal to first name text dot get text dot to string dot trim string last name equals last name text dot get text dot to string dot trim, and we'll do string email address is equal to email address text dot get text dot to string. A lot of repetition. String. If anybody has a better way to do this, I would love to hear it. Password text dot get text dot to string dot trim. Cool. And then, so now we're actually going to call our API call. So we'll say call response body. Oops, forgot the capital R there. Response body. I don't understand why that doesn't show up in my autocomplete. Call equals retrofit client dot get instance dot get API dot create user. First name, last name, email address, password. All right. So it's saying, yo, take all of these variables here and pass them into our API. So then we're going to say call.enqueue. And then once we do new callback, boom, you get a bunch of code. So you get two overrides. You've got override for on response and on failure. So success, failure. Now failure is going to be more localized to actually like a server failure. This, you can return errors here, but you got a successful response from the server. So we're going to wrap this in a try catch again. Try catch IO exception E. And then we're going to say what? That should work just fine. I don't know why that's erroring out. So let's finish the code and see what happens. String body is equal to response dot body dot string, and then toast dot make text. Oh, I selected the right thing. So we'll say register this, and text will be body. Toast length is actually going to be long, not short. And then we'll say show. And then we're going to do the same. So this will be e.print stack trace. And then down here, we're going to copy this, paste this guy right here, because that's all we're doing here, is we're just going to say t.get message. And so that should be it. That should be all we need for here, I believe. Let me look this over real fast. Yeah. So now, in theory, obviously, let's go ahead and start up our server here. Let's make sure our manifest looks okay. It doesn't. Why doesn't it look okay? Okay, yeah, it does. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and start up our emulator. And then while that's booting up, let's go ahead and do npm. Oh, well, that happened fast. npm start. So we have our server running. Make sure you still have Mongo running. It looks to be running. What is going on here? I don't want this. Once this builds, the app should install, which takes a second for the first time you install an app. It takes a minute. So we should be able to hit register. It should take us to, oh, no. We're getting a weird error saying that this isn't working. And this is why. So it's not login, it's register. Save that. Let's run it again. Pull up our Android emulator here. Wait for it to start. Register. Perfect. I didn't send out the button clearly, but that's fine. Jason Sullivan, jason@jason.com. I wish I had that domain. 5. We should clear text communication. Another thing that we need is we have to throw in our manifest. We have 2 things we need. So let's go back to our manifest, which I double checked, but I did not check for this. So you need 2 things. So you need, the first thing is uses permission, Android name, Android.permission internet. So that just says, hey, this application is going to use your internet. So if you don't want to use your data, turn it off for this app. So then we'll do we have one more other thing, and that's Android clear. Uses clear text traffic. True. I would not recommend using this in a production app. I don't know if Google will actually deny it. If you do something like this in Apple, they will definitely deny it, but deny your app. But basically, this says I can look at links that are not HTTPS, so they're not secure links. You don't want to do that. So anytime you're doing data, you want to make sure it's secured at the very minimum. So that should fix that. So stop, run, pull this guy up, register. I'm going to say Jason Sullivan, jason@jason.com. 2, 3, 4, 5, register. Boom. That's our user. So if we look at Robo3T, we should see 2 users now, which we do, which is fantastic. So we'll go ahead and hide that for a moment, and then let's knock out the login real quick here. So login's a little different. I kind of jumped the shark a bit and just kind of got in front of some code we were going to have to write at some point regardless. So it's a little less straightforward, but no harder, just less the same. So again, we're going to go email address get text dot toString dot trim, and then we're going to do string pass is equal to email or password get text dot toString dot trim. And then we'll do the call. Login response call equals come on. Call equals retrofit client dot get instance dot get API dot user login, passing the email and pass variables. Perfect. And then call and queue, new call back. Boom, same thing. So we'll say login response. Login response is equal to response dot body, and we're going to say if not login response dot is error, and then we'll do else, and essentially we're going to come back to register, and we're going to grab this same toast call just to make it easier on ourselves. So we're going to throw that guy there. Perfect. And we'll throw that guy here. And so this is just going to be t.get message. Perfect. Except for this is login, not register. And then login as well here. And I also need to put that there. Right. So login. Okay, so a couple things going to happen. So the reason this is a little different is you're going to have a failure to the server maybe, but almost always it's going to be either it worked or it didn't. And if it didn't, you want to be able to display what didn't work. So this is actually where you'll put like login response dot get message, and then you'll want login response dot, we'll just get user dot get first name, I think. And so that'll, instead of it dumping the whole user, we're just going to have it display my name when we log in theory, that is. Now the catch here is that we do need to make one tweak here, because again, I jumped the shark a little bit in the way I thought this out, but that's fine. We can fix that. So we're going to say this is really ugly and we will fix it. Don't worry. So we're going to say error is null. We're going to say message is 200. And we're going to say user is user. Save that. And that should restart your server. Done. And then last but not least, stop your build or stop your emulator, restart it. It's gonna do what it does here eventually, hopefully. There we go. Load it up. And so now we're gonna log in with Jason at jason.com, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe is what we picked again. Log in and Jason pops up. So that reached into the database, grabbed the user, and returned that data to the model. And that's it. We are creating a user and logging in as a user. Obviously it doesn't have any of the cool functionality like, oh, we're gonna go to a dashboard page or a home page or whatever, but it does have the base level for all that. The foundation is there. So you guys could from here take it and run, but I'm not done. We got a lot more to go. Next thing we're gonna jump into in the next episode, we're actually gonna start jumping into iOS stuff. So we're actually gonna start building out the UI and all that great stuff. So I am excited. Let's go. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. If you are liking what you're seeing, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, all those things. I would greatly appreciate it. If not, no big deal. I hope you're finding value in this content. Yeah, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon.